Hello folks, my name's Lee Townsend and this video almost didn't happen. So a couple of weeks ago I released a video, which if you haven't seen by the way, you can do so by clicking the card above. And in that video I asked you guys if you had any questions for me for a Q&A session, because I miss doing the Q&A sessions. I used to do them back in the day quite a bit, and I thought it'd be fun to jump on, answer some questions and break the sort of rut that I've been stuck in of making acoustic covers every week. And it's not so much a rut as just me only having time to do that because I'm playing live every day. So and setting up all the loop stuff's quite time consuming, and all that stuff's packed away ready for my gigs because I use it live. So I thought a Q&A session would be a good way to do something a bit different this week. And I received one single question on that video, so obviously that wasn't enough for this video to be warranted. So the person who asked that question, Fog Weaver, got in my Discord server about a week later and asked when we could expect the video. And I kind of said, well, if anyone else has got any questions, then we can do it. And the other people in my Discord server delivered with questions. So we've got enough questions to warrant a Q&A video. So here we are today. And talking of my Discord server, if anybody isn't already in my Discord server that's interested in joining, in the description of this video there's a link, an invite link, and it's limited to only 25 people. Once it's full, and that's going to be the only people that will be allowed in outside of Patreon. And once Patreon launches, these people will have access forever, and they'll be in there as early bird members. So the 25 person link has been used, I think 10 or 12 times, something like that. So limited numbers left. So if you want to get in, it's in the description. Go and find it. So I'm going to start with the only question that was asked in the original video, the one from Fog Weaver. And the question is, since you've made a lot of videos related to Ed Sheeran that have become quite popular, have you ever worried that you'll be just known as just that Ed Sheeran guy on YouTube? What's your perspective on this? Do you still listen to his music? And what's your opinion on some of his newer stuff? That's a really, really excellent question, actually, because that is something that I've thought about a lot over the years. And since I made my video on Shape of You, I released a cover of that song on the day that it came out back in like 2015. I got up at 5 in the morning to listen to the song for the first time. It was being premiered on a radio station. I can't remember which radio station, one of the BBC ones probably, at 5 in the morning. So I got up to listen to it and spent all day coming up with that arrangement and made the video, which, funnily enough, I can't watch anymore because it's so cringy. You can tell that I don't know the song at all, that it's brand new to me. It's really robotic the way that I perform it. But the video did quite well because it was the day that the song came out and nobody else had covered it yet. So a few weeks later, I think I did a loop tutorial of that song, which for years was the most viewed video on this channel. So I wouldn't say worry is the correct terminology for this, but I thought about it a lot, and all of the requests that I used to get were all Ed Sheeran songs. And you can sort of see in the history of my channel me fighting against it a little bit, trying to break out of this box that I'd been put in, and trying to do vlog videos and other things. I even reviewed a camera once and little bits like that because I wanted to stay in control of the content that I made on this channel, because it's my channel and I want to do what I want to do with it. I want to keep it fresh. I want to keep it exciting. As soon as this channel becomes a chore, I'll lose interest and I won't do it. I'm one of those people that gets bored of things really quickly, so I want to keep it a bit more varied than just that. But after saying that, I've got a lot to thank Ed for, because I know a lot of musicians who are trying to build a subscriber base on YouTube, and I've managed to do it because my content was so niche at the beginning, and there were very few people doing loop tutorials. There's plenty of loop covers, but very few people doing loop tutorials on specific songs. So I think that's arguably what helped me to initially build that subscriber base up to a level where people notice the videos and see the subscriber count, and they're more likely to hit subscribe, if you know what I mean. So, as I said, I've got a lot to thank Ed for, and I definitely don't worry about being put in that box and known as just that Ed Sheeran guy, because the content that I put out there at the end of the day is going to prove that I'm not just that Ed Sheeran guy, because I'm posting content on all kinds of music. So hope that answers your question on that bit. And also, yeah, do you still listen to his music, and what's your opinion on some of his newer stuff? Yes, I do listen to his music quite often, actually, and I really enjoy all of Ed's music, and I like some of it more than others. I think The Equals is arguably his best album, actually, and it's so varied. It shows his sort of versatility in a lot of ways. He's got things like the delicate acoustic-y stuff, and then you've got Joker and the Queen, which is at the other side of everything, and then Overpass Graffiti, which is like the full band sound, and I really like it all. And like way over there, you've got like two-step and things like that. I think Leave Your Life is a brilliant song. I love Bad Habits. I love Shivers. I like it all, really. I was always a bit of a sucker for a catchy pop melody, and man, can Ed Sheeran write a catchy pop melody. So yeah, anybody that shits on Ed Sheeran for being too popular, I mean, that's what he's gone for, isn't it? He's worked harder than any other artist. And the fact that he is played every day on the radio and he's rammed down people's throats is testament to how hard he's worked to get there. So I think a lot of the people that sort of diss Ed Sheeran, they're doing so because it's popular to diss Ed Sheeran, and they're jealous of his success, and that's literally just the way it is. So I like him. I think he deserves all the success that he gets, and that's pretty much it for that question. So thanks for your question. Moving on to Evan David. What's your favourite song to play? By the way, Evan David was only the second person to enter my Discord server, so thanks for your questions, Evan. He's actually left 6 questions, so I'll try and rattle through those. What's your favourite song to play? That depends on whether I'm playing at home by myself or whether I'm gigging, and it also depends on what the gig's like. Are people sat having a meal or something like that and really chilled out, or do they want to dance? If it's the latter, probably Bad Habits, because that bass drum thud that I get by hitting the bridge of the guitar through my PA system sounds wicked. It sounds like brutal, really, like proper thud. And I get told at my gigs all the time, by the way, that my YouTube stuff doesn't do me any justice, because people think that, I don't know, I obviously feed off the audience, and I tend to perform more to the audience. I've often struggled sort of getting the performance out into a camera, and I think I'm getting better at it, but still in a live situations where I thrive, I think. Anyway, what's the first song that you learned? I would say it was probably an Oasis song, something like Noel Gallagher did a acoustic version of What's the Story, Morning Glory, Morning Glory, the sort of title track, at Nebworth in 1996, and I played that song live. It was the first song I ever played live in my dad's band's break of one of his gigs, and I played that with my little brother singing. So it was probably something like that, I think. Next question, why did you start playing music? Going back to my dad's band, I used to go and watch my dad's band all the time when I was a kid. Picked up a knack very, very early on for the rhythmic strumming patterns, the sort of strumming hand of rhythm guitar playing by watching my dad. That's what he did. So, and then one day I was kind of miming along playing air guitar, essentially, to one of the songs, and my dad noticed that my strumming hand was spot on, even though I had no idea how to play the guitar. So he drew me a few chord diagrams, and I went away and learned those chords, and then for Christmas and birthdays and stuff, I used to get chord books, because the internet was in its infancy back then. So I learned to play that way, through books and chord charts and stuff. I used to get in from school, I'd drop my school bag next to the guitar and pick the guitar up and play till I went to bed. And I don't think it was a sacrifice as such, but I kind of did sacrifice a bit of a social life in the early days to learn how to play. But obviously that's paid off now, because I can play the guitar. So next question, who is your favourite musician/artist? I'd say that's another one that's very, very difficult to answer, but if we're talking like chilled out music. Crowded House are probably one of my favourite bands of all time. I think Neil Finn's songwriting is up there among the best ever. Love people like Ben Howard, love people like Damien Rice. Ed Sheeran goes without saying, one of my biggest influences. And what else? Tom DeLonge is one of my biggest influences as well. Love all the Blink-182 stuff that he's involved with. Not too keen on the Matt Skiba stuff, but I know, obviously, each to their own and everything. It's just not my thing. Love Angels and Airwaves, Boxcar Racer. I love Tom's little EP, solo EP that he released in between things as well. John Mayer, huge John Mayer fan. Who else? I think they're the big ones. And then going back to when I was learning to play, I'd say Oasis, Stereophonics, Foo Fighters, Muse, people like that. So that's not really a favourite musician, is it? It's a group of favourite musicians. So next question, what was your first guitar? And that was a Squier Telecaster back in the day when I was a kid. And then shortly after, I sold that and did some car washing to save up for an Epiphone SG, because I was a big Kelly Jones fan from Stereophonics, and at the time he was playing the SG quite a lot. So I got an Epiphone SG, a guitar actually that I regret selling to this day because I used to love that guitar. So next question from Evan, final question from Evan actually. What did you do before music? And I didn't really do anything before music. That question's kind of null and void. I played music since the age of 9, and since 10 or 11, I used to get paid for my gigs that I did. Not enough to live off or anything like that, but at that age, it was pocket money enough to save up to buy new guitars and things like that. So, and then I've had a couple of jobs working in various restaurants and things, and I was a web developer for a bit. I'm into that kind of thing as well. And also I've done bits of like videography and other bits and pieces, photography, things like that. But my core thing has always been being a musician, playing live. So I've not really done anything other than music as like a serious thing. So thanks, Evan, for all the questions there. And when Evan asked all those questions in the Discord server, Fog Weaver got back on and was like, oh, dang, well, if we're getting into multiple ones, let me give you a few more. So the first one of those was, you've mentioned you like John Mayer, and personally, I'm huge into his stuff. Do you have a favourite Mayer song? Which type of John Mayer song do you prefer, i.e. his folkier stuff, his bluesier stuff, etc.? And yeah, I'm a big John Mayer fan, really, really into his stuff. I can't say that I can do this question a lot of justice because I don't have a favourite John Mayer song. I don't have a favourite style of his. I like all of the stuff that he does. I love the bluesy stuff. I love the trio stuff. I like the acoustic stuff. I like the more country stuff as well. I just like it all, really. From a songwriting point of view, probably something like Perfectly Lonely. I love the way that he makes seemingly negative things sound positive, if that makes sense. If you don't know that song, go and listen to it. It's really cool. And New Light is a good song as well. And yeah, all of the Sob Rock album I really like as well. So sorry I can't sort of be more specific there, but I just like all of it. I think he's great. And another question from the same person. When you play a gig, what's one song you know you'll be a big crowd pleaser, but you're quite tired of yourself? I actually think I don't have this problem, really, because you've got to remember that these songs aren't my songs. It's not like me turning up at a gig. It's not like Ed Sheeran turning up at a gig and not playing Thinking Out Loud. You know, everybody expects that song to be in a set because it's such a big song. Whereas I can drop any song I like at a gig and people don't really miss it because they're not there to see that song, if that makes sense. So if there are any songs that I get a little bit bored of, I'll just stop playing them for a bit until I want to play them again. But for example, Shape of You, I haven't played that song for quite some time in a live situation just because I was playing it a lot and I wasn't enjoying it as much as other songs, so I replaced it with some other stuff. But it'll come back every now and again. I'll throw it in there. But yeah, I don't really know. With regards to crowd pleasers, again, if people are up for dancing, then things like Let's Dance by David Bowie, Bad Habits, Shape of You, things like that always work well. Things with a beat, the loop ones with a beat always work well. So I hope that sort of doesn't skip over your question too much. Next question is from Max25, and Max was actually the first ever member of my Discord server, so thanks for your question, Max. What looping songs do you find the hardest to do, and what part of it makes it hard? And that kind of goes back to the sort of natural knack that I had picking up the guitar in the first place. And with regards to the loop thing, I've always had this natural thing where I see things in a sort of analog way. I almost visualize it in my head as like a loop of tape, because it's like the analog thing. And I don't know, I just have this knack for getting the timing right and all that. So I don't really find any of them particularly hard. Dancing around on the pedals sometimes, if I'm singing into the mic and I can't look at what I'm doing, sometimes that can get a little bit difficult. But I've managed to get the setup now where the mic stand goes down, and I sort of know intuitively where the buttons are without looking at them. So I'm trying to nail that as well, so I've not really got to think about what I'm doing. But with regards to hardest to do, I'd say going back to Shape of You, I think there's a part in that where I do the oh I oh I oh I oh I bit, and I'll use the undo feature to drop that back out. So there's a feature on the pedal which it's there in case you make a mistake on one of the loops and you can drop it out and go again. So I use that as like a third track because I need the extra track there. So I'll record that bit in and then undo it, but then you can also redo it to bring it back in. So something like that would probably be one of the hardest to do, even though I don't really find it that hard. I've been doing it for that long now. And finally, I've got one more question from Let's Fail Your Game, which sounds like an old gaming name that's just stuck over the years. So I don't know this person's real name, but thanks for your question. How did you teach yourself to play all the loop songs? And I think that kind of skips back to the other question, really, or the other answer that I gave. I kind of found it naturally easy to sort of jump in and get the timing right, and the way I visualize everything. And I think the main thing with teaching myself to play the loop songs is initially coming up with the arrangement, and it's thinking beforehand about which parts of the song you want to drop out later so that you know where to put them, which track to put them in. And that's particularly a thing when you've only got 2 tracks like I have. And I'm still really considering the RC600 with the 6 tracks. But for now, I'm sticking with just the 2 tracks because it's done me proud so far. And sort of thanks to the loop pedal, it's enabled me to keep doing these gigs. And on the south coast of Spain here, the loop pedal's what sets me apart from all the other solo artists around here. And it's the reason that I keep getting booked, and I've got a half-decent following around here. And also the way that I do things with regards to how I book gigs and stuff, but that's for a different video. So, yeah, I don't really know how to answer that question, I'm afraid. I don't really know how I teach myself to play the loop songs. I just have this thing in my head where that goes there, that goes there, that goes there, and it all just works out. So I hope that's kind of, again, not skipped over your question entirely, but tried to answer it to the best of my ability. And that's all for questions here on Discord, I'm afraid. So if anyone's got any more questions for future episodes, always throw them in the comments section down below, and I'll kind of try and stack them up so that I've got another Q&A session to record at some point. But I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's been educational in some way. I hope it's been entertaining in some way. And yeah, if you haven't already, make sure that you're subscribed by hitting the subscribe link below if you're interested in music and guitar related content. Hit the bell icon so that you get alerts when I upload new videos. Hit the thumbs up to bump me up the YouTube algorithm and stuff if you enjoy what I do. And you can always leave comments, as I said, to get in touch. If you're interested in getting on the Discord server, it's in the description. You can hit the link, get there fast before all the spaces go. And finally, you can follow me on other social networks and things. @TweedNelson is my username across the board on things like Instagram and Twitter and things like that. So thank you very, very, very much for watching. and I will catch you in the next one. Cheers. See you next time. Bye-bye.